Morning, everyone. It's me, this guy, Daniel J. Hogan again, and I'm going to be inking another Inktober drawing. For those who don't know what Inktober is, it's a challenge in the month of October to do 31 drawings in 31 days. Isn't that fun? So today I'm on drawing 7, and what I'm doing for this month is I'm doing my random cartoons that I do at shows. So that's why it says Random Inktober. And for my random cartoons at shows, I take 2 words and combine them and do a drawing for someone. Typically they roll dice at my table and then consult a list of words, and I do something based on that. So this morning I got cat and Sci-Fi, so I kind of did like a Jabba the Hutt cat thing and a little doggy salacious crumb deal. So I'm going to ink this now, and then I'll take a break and then do a separate live thing later when I watercolor it, just for the sake of making shorter videos. Alright, so I'm going to get started. For those who are curious, again, I'm using the Kuretake pocket brush pens here. There's 3 sizes. I'll actually do it this way. The one on the top here is the smallest tip. This is the medium tip, and this is the biggest tip. So what I like about these is they're kind of in between, like a micron pen, which is a very stiff, fine pen, and the Pentel pocket brush, which is like a full-blown brush pen, like a real like nylon tip. I like this. This is my go-to normally, but because I'm going to be watercoloring this, I can't use this pen because this pen's not really friendly with watercolors, unless maybe I let it sit for a long time for the ink to dry. But I learned the hard way you can't watercolor it right after drawing with it, at least, because it gets pretty sloppy real fast. So I'm going to start here and just do my lettering first. Hopefully not kick my tripod in the process. Alright. And hopefully not bump my phone with my head either. So I'm experimenting with a different setup here. Every one of these is a new experiment. So I'm using the thickest one here with the biggest tip to do these letters on top. What I do like about these pens is they have a good flow to them that I can ink smoother with them than I can with some of like the microns or your Pitt pens by another company, Faber-Castell. I mean, those are all good pens too, but sometimes because they're such a small tip, they don't necessarily go that smoothly. And what's cool about these tips is you get you get a little bit of line variation, not as much as you would with the Pentel pocket brush, because that's like a full brush tip, but you get definitely more than you would with a micron, which is just a hard nib thing. Okay. You can see I'm kind of trying to use the fine tip of this pen to maybe do a little more line variation with these letters. Well, these layers are a little closer together down here, so I'm going to switch pens here. And this took me a little too long to figure out, but these are actually, they're color coded, so the lightest color is the smallest tip, the darkest color is the biggest tip. So because these letters are a little closer together, I need a finer tip here. If you're wondering why I'm doing this on my personal page and not the Claritron page or something, is because I'm curious to see how many people see this versus on the Claritron page, where Facebook wants you to pay for people to see the content they've opted in to follow. Don't get me started on that. It's extortion, plain and simple. But I mean, I get it if I wanted to pay money to reach different people who aren't fans of the page. I totally get that. But to pay to reach people who have liked the page, expressed interest, seems pretty crappy to me. And given recent events regarding Facebook's who they allowed to advertise, without getting too much into it, has inspired me not to give them any more advertising money for a while. So I'm gonna see what I can get away with on my personal page as far as reach and exposure, etc. So as I said in the previous video, I do lettering first. That's the same for comics. You do your lettering first, because unless it's a comic with no words, words are very important, and you want to make sure that they're legible and you have enough space and all that kind of stuff. So, and lettering's probably my least favorite part, so I like just getting it out of the way as soon as possible. It seems to be a little harder on my hand than drawing is for some reason. I guess it just must be because of the movements. Thank you. I'll try and look at comments occasionally. I'm not facing the camera, so. I always have this fear when I'm making my name, I'm going to forget a letter and then have to like totally redo everything. So, alright. Make sure we're in frame here. Still getting used to the setup, so should be okay. Alright. This is something too, it took me a while when I was first starting out to get, even think about it, get used to. Like, it's okay to, you know, spin your drawing around to ink stuff and whatnot. You don't have to ink or even draw, you know, how the final thing is going to be oriented. So if it's easier for you to letter upside down, who cares? Do it. So since eyes are really important to me, and I try to really make sure eyes are easy to see on a final drawing, I'm going to go to my smallest pen here so I can get some good detail in there. And try not to hit the phone with my head in the same process. This little dude out of the way. Okay. Do this thing. You might be wondering, why am I doing this at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning? It's like, well, I'm an early riser, and the main reason I'm doing Inktober is I wanted to get in the habit of drawing every morning. And so far this week, I've stuck to that, and it's paying dividends. So since I want to get in the routine of doing this every morning, that's when I got to do the video. I mean, I may put off coloring it till a little later, but that's why. I'm trying to build good habits here, because I just kind of majorly fell out of the habit of working on art and comics in the morning for a while, and I want to get back into it because it seems that's when, I have my most, but I have free time that I have very few other obligations because I'm usually the only one awake and the day hasn't started yet, etc. And I'm definitely a type of person who likes just getting stuff out of the way and over with and not putting it off if I can. So, and then that way I also feel accomplished throughout the day because I'm like, hey, I already did a drawing this morning and I already got stuff done. If I want to goof off later and maybe play some video games or something or go run errands, and that's okay. I don't have it in the back of my head like, oh man, I still got to do my drawing because it's over with. It's taken care of. I realize that's not the case for everyone. For some people, their mornings are crazy and that won't work for them. But the trick is just finding out what works best for you. And in my case, some of it as well was making some lifestyle changes. Like getting up earlier, that sort of thing. And just deciding when I first get up in the morning, I'm not going to spend a half hour staring at my phone checking email and stuff. I'm going to get to work making art and stuff instead. So, and that's paid off. So you can find the time to do things if you're willing to trade things off, and that's what it's all about. It's all about compromise. Because there's no shortage of time for me later in the day to check email or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but I don't necessarily always have the time during the day to sit down and draw like this. So, oh boy. Yeah, there we go. Everyone take a drink. I just kicked my tripod. All right. Okay, so again, I have a little tiny small dude here. So I'm going to use this really small tip pen to get in there and make him stand out. If you're wondering, I sketched this with this pencil. It's a Pentel mechanical pencil. It's a 0.5 millimeter. I actually got this out of a box from Art Snacks a few months ago, and I like it a lot. I hadn't used like a mechanical pencil like that in a long time, but after getting it and playing with it, I found it was really handy for sketching stuff out. I'm sorry, did I say, yeah, and it was from Art Snacks, which is kind of like a Loot Crate for art supplies. You get art supplies once a month. It's fun. You may not always get stuff that you particularly use, but I think part of the fun is it gets you stuff you wouldn't normally try. Like, I wouldn't necessarily go out and buy a pencil like this normally, but because it came in Art Snacks, I decided to use it. It's been a big help. When I'm just sketching for fun, like in my sketchbook, I will use this. This is a lead holder with HB lead, so it's it's a thicker lead tip, and it kind of mimics a real pencil. I like drawing with this one, but I found that it's a lot more work to erase lines on things like this later, so I stick with this when I'm drawing stuff I'm going to ink and have to erase lines later. The problem is when you're drawing with such a small pencil like this, you don't always necessarily have a pen that's the same size, so you're going to lose probably a little bit of line work here, but it's not too bad. All right, that guy's good. His foot kind of got away from me there, but whatever. Yeah, whatever. There we go. Oops, can't forget about his mouth here. Okay. It's inked, so now I'm just going to clean up these lines, and then, like I said, I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come back in a little bit and paint this. So for erasing, I use this. It's Tombow Mononoke 38, sure. I got it through inkpens.com. It's a replacement for an older eraser stick thing I used that was made by, was it Pentel? I can't remember, but it's the exact same thing. Like, I think they even bought the material or the rights to make it or something. So, but the other company stopped making it, and I was rather distraught because I like this. It's a good, easy eraser stick thing, and I did some research and found that Tombow makes it now. So, because I was trying to find refills for my old one, and because it's no longer made, they were like super expensive because they're like the last few of that kind, even though this eraser thing is like the exact same thing. So, and I could have actually just bought the refills for this and used it with the body I already had, but my old one was kind of beat up and old, and plus I like this bright green because it makes it easier to find in my pencil bag or whatever. It sticks out more. As I get older and my eyes get worse, I'm kind of getting tired of stuff always being colored black, and like the interiors of like book bags and stuff are black, and if I'm trying to find a black pen in a black bag, it's not always easy. So if I have the choice, I'll grab stuff that's more brightly colored. Oops. Okay. That's it. She's done. Let's see if I can get a good close-up here. So that's the final drawing there. I'm going to come back later and watercolor it. So thanks for watching. I'm going to take a break and check it out again later. Or check me out later. Sure, whatever. Finish.